Hey, what's up folks, it's Shaheel. So, the long-awaited OnePlus 8T is here. So, was it worth the wait of like 6 months? Like, does it really fill the requirement of the users? Does the lower price compromise on specs? How does it compare to the OnePlus 8 Pro? And some of my thoughts. The specs. So this phone comes with a 6.55-inch Fluid AMOLED display with 120Hz refresh rate and HDR10 Plus support. This phone has the same Snapdragon 865 processor as the OnePlus 8 Pro, which is a good thing because it didn't compromise on the processor. Another great thing is that this phone comes with Android 11 out of the box with Oxygen's 11 skin, of course. So these are one of the few phones which is here that comes with Android 11 pre-installed. Like, OnePlus is one of the manufacturers who gives Android 11 just like after a few weeks after Google, which is a great thing. This phone also comes with under-screen optical fingerprint scanner biometric technology, and this phone is powered with a 4500 mAh battery, which has a specialty which I'll be talking later in the video, and Warp Charge 65, which is their all-new 65-watt charging technology. A day's power in 15 minutes is what OnePlus says, and I think it is true. The cameras, like, that's what everyone wants to know. So the cameras are 40 megapixel main sensor, 16 megapixel ultra-wide sensor, 5 megapixel depth camera, and 2 megapixel monochrome camera, which is even worse. And we also have a 16 megapixel selfie shooter in the house. See, the camera setup and many more things are very much practical on the OnePlus 8 Pro, which is exactly what we're going to be doing. We're going to be comparing it with the OnePlus 8 Pro, and then finally, I'm going to be mentioning some of my thoughts which came into me when I saw the phone for the first time. First thing, OnePlus 8 Pro has a bigger screen, so it's 6.78 inch, almost 6.8 inches versus 6.55 inch. You might not notice the difference, but just for the sake of comparison, it's there. Also, the pixel density and the resolution is increased on the OnePlus 8 Pro. So the OnePlus 8T comes with a 1080p display, while the OnePlus 8 Pro comes with a Quad HD display. So it's a bit bigger, like 1440p I guess. In spite of it having a bigger screen, the pixels per inch or pixel density is much more higher on the OnePlus 8 Pro at 506 pixels per inch. But then the good things are the processor and the RAM and the storage options are the same on both the phones. Okay, now let's see cameras. Cameras, like I said, are much more practical on the 8 Pro than it is on the 8T. The 8 Pro has a much more practical and useful camera in the daily life, while the 8T, not much. On the 8 Pro, we're looking at a 48 megapixel wide sensor, 48 megapixel ultra wide sensor, an 8 megapixel telephoto sensor, and a 5 megapixel color filter camera, which I don't think most people use. Came into controversy and they had to end up like disabling some of its features. Despite of this camera being much more practical, I think it's much more useful because, see, are you gonna zoom in or are you gonna use the depth camera for something else? Are you gonna be using a much higher resolution ultra wide camera, or are you gonna be using not so much useful monochrome sensor? And the OnePlus 8 Pro has a single 4510 mAh battery. The reason I said single is because it's only one battery cell. Coming to the OnePlus 8T, it has two 2250 mAh batteries. Now you might ask, why should you put two batteries of small capacities while you can just cram in one big battery itself? The reason being, Warp Charge 65. Lithium batteries have a problem of overheating when it's provided more power. So the more power it gets, there's a chance of overheating and battery degradation. If the lithium-ion battery is provided with 30 watts of power and another lithium-ion battery with 65 watts of power, the 65-watt lithium-ion battery is going to be degrading much more faster than the 30-watt power. So to avoid battery degradation fast, they're providing two small batteries which is being simultaneously charged. The OnePlus 8 Pro has 30-watt charging, which is the Warp Charge 30T, which is fast enough, like I mentioned in the OnePlus Note impressions video, which you can see by clicking over here. But it also has a 3-watt reverse wireless charging, in case you want to charge your buds or watch if you have one. Let's come to the pricing part. Now this is where things get interesting. Now just keep in mind that the 8T does not have some features like the 8 Pro. So if you want the absolute Pro, I'd say still go for the 8 Pro, even though the 8T is newer. So the pricing of the OnePlus 8 Pro, for 8GB 128GB storage variant, it's $799, and for 12GB RAM 256GB storage variant, it's $899. But for the OnePlus 8T, if you're here in India or any other region other than North America, you can have OnePlus 8T in 8GB RAM and 128GB storage variant. But if you're in the North America, you only have one single variant, which is a 12GB RAM and 256GB storage variant, and that costs $750. Now let's see some of my thoughts which came into me when I saw the phone, like I said. So OnePlus's lineup is a bit complicated right now. OnePlus has been that company which doesn't mess with the naming schemes and models and everything and spec and everything, but now it's more like OnePlus is just like any other company. Let me explain. So OnePlus has its Node, which is the budget basic lineup, and then it has the 8 or 8 Pro normal variants, which is flagship, and the 7T and the 7T Pro is meant to be like a upgrade to the 7 and the 7 Pro. So the 8T is meant to be an upgrade to the OnePlus 8. Or is it? So where does it fit between OnePlus Node and OnePlus 8? Now, not only does it cut on the camera and the display, it also does not have an official IP rating, but it still has water resistance according to OnePlus, because if you saw the Jerry Rig Everything video, the teardown, you have rubber gaskets and all that around the SIM tray and many other areas, but it doesn't have an official IP rating. Also, this does not have wireless charging. I get your point. I get that not a lot of people use wireless charging, but we went from a wired headphone era to a wireless earbuds era. Now, like literally every single company has their own pair of TWS earphones. Just like that, wireless charging is about convenience and not personal preference. So still, wireless charging is not as fast as wired charging. Warp Charge 65 adapter is included in the box, so you can use that. But even though it's a convenience factor, and it should have been there. But even though the battery situation is very cool in the OnePlus 8T, since it has two batteries, lower chance of degradation, fast. Splitting the battery into two and then providing simultaneous power is like a very good thing. We have seen other 65-watt charging phones which only have one battery cell. Now, we should remember one thing. The OnePlus 8T is meant to be cheaper than the OnePlus 8 Pro. So obviously it has to cut some of its features. But I guess these features shouldn't have been the one which is going to be cut off. That's some of my thoughts. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe, press the bell icon, like this video, comment down anything which you think about this video, anything to improvise, any doubts, comments, anything else, comment down below. Until we meet the next time, goodbye.